Hello, everybody. Welcome to class 4. Can't believe we're already at class 4. I look forward to teaching these series, and I am kind of like waiting, and then all of a sudden it starts, and I feel like it's just like boom, 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 which I wonder if you're feeling like that too. Hey to Natalie. Welcome. So good to see you. Hello to Jasmine. Hi, guys. Welcome. Introduce yourself in the chat. Say hello, where you're watching it from, if you're eating any fun snacks, just anything you want to share. Love to hear it. I had such a great time teaching class yesterday. If you were in class yesterday, or watched the replay, let me know if you felt like you got a lot out of it. Hopefully you did. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to move a light real quick. Oh, shoot. I need an extension cord. Trying to get it all right over here. It was so fun. I feel like there was so much great energy and discussions in the chat. And we had a good time talking about, some of us were bonding over our love of data and spreadsheets, which was super fun. And we were also talking about our games, the little game I was talking about. Hello to Jonathan, watching from California. Yay! Oh my gosh, I love it. Got to put that comment on the screen, Jonathan. My wife and I look forward to this every day. Thank you for taking time to put it on. You are welcome. Thank you for joining me every day. I actually had, oh, hey, Tara. Tara's here. I had a little note that I was going to ask everybody because I'm so curious and I've been meaning to ask. And here I have taught 18 classes so far. And I never asked, like, how do you guys remember to come to class? Because so many people are coming to class after class. And sometimes I will send out an email to the insiders. If you want to be an insider and get emails, there's a link down below. But sometimes I'll send emails. Sometimes I have been sending emails to the people with topic that downloaded our topic list. But then today I didn't send one, and because I don't want to become a burden in your inbox. But I was wondering, like, do you guys just show up at the same time every day? Do you wait for YouTube to tell you to show up? Notification on your phone? I'm just curious if anyone wants to share. Dawn says, oh, I love it. Dawn here for the 4th day. Put it on my Google Calendar for a reminder. I love it. Kayla says, my husband reminds me we have the class set in our iCal. Awesome. Okay. So everybody's kind of putting on their calendar. I love it. Natalie says she has notifications. Work calendar. O'Neill's got it on calendars. Okay. I love it. Alarm on the phone. So cool. Okay. Well, now I know. I love it. So yesterday we had a lot of fun, right? We talked about contractions. We talked about what was our coping technique that we talked about yesterday. How did anyone practice our coping technique from yesterday, or did anyone think about it? About the coping technique from yesterday? Let me know. Yay. Oh, there's some game still bonding happening in the chat. Well, I will show you what I did spend some time going through YouTube looking for this. For those of you who were in yesterday's class, I did have to make a GIF from this particular, just one. I just found one survivor challenge that was doing the ball game that we talked about. So I just had to make that GIF because I loved thinking about it as, remember, we're going to move our bodies in labor, just like the survivor ball challenge. Thank you, Dabu Doodles. I got an LOL there. Love it. Yeah. Okay. Goodbye, Survivor. I don't remember which season that was. What? Oh my gosh. So funny story, you were on season 16 and 26. I'm going to need more information than that. Maybe not during class, but you're going to need to send me an email about this, because I am a Survivor fan. And now it's part of your childbirth class. That is so cool. So cool. Okay, we're back. We are talking about, sorry, I'm looking at my notes because I don't want to forget my beginning. Oh, I wanted to tell you guys that the practice session, I'm doing a practice session every night, and it's right after this class. It's late for some of you. I definitely know that. So let me know if you would be interested in the practice session if it was before this class. I'm saying that because I'm a huge fan of practicing things, and I would love for more people to practice with me. So let me know either in the chat or send me an email or something like that. And let me put my email up. Yesterday, I practiced by myself because I just recorded it. But I really think that it's just such a great use of time. I was talking to a doula client recently about practicing, and it just makes so much sense. Okay, that's my email. If you guys want to get in touch with me, I wanted to make sure to put that on and put it on a banner. Awesome. Okay, so I'm bringing my A game today, okay? I want to thank you all for hanging in there with me, especially those of you who have watched every single day, especially if you guys are in the Everyday Club. I feel like we need to have like a name for us. If you have a name for us, the Everyday Club, and if you miss a day, remember the replays are going to be available through the end of March. So if you miss a day, not a problem, okay? I want to thank you in advance for pressing the like button. It really does help. I just like to give you a reminder, sharing it, telling other people. That easy URL for the class is youtubechildbirthclass.com. And just thanks for all the support that you're giving. It really makes being a teacher that's teaching into a black box a more connected. So thank you. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you being here, especially as we talk about one of my favorite phases of labor to teach, and that is early labor. Now, answer to Natalie's question. Natalie T says, will it go on over the weekend? It will. So last year, December, when we did the weekend, it was still worked really well. So we're going to keep going on the weekends. I know maybe some people have other lives and things to do on the weekend, but I feel like just keeping that consistency works. Again, the replays are available. But yes, it's going to go over the weekend too. Okay, as we talk about early labor, I want to start off kind of with a disclaimer, okay? So really hear me out here. What I'm going to present to you, it probably works best with like an extra layer of trust, which is why I'm teaching it 4 classes in. I'm hoping that we've kind of developed a working relationship. Hopefully you guys are becoming trusting of me and what I'm talking about and my experience and that kind of thing. So you're not skeptical or like giving me the side eye, like, what are you talking about, Alice? This topic, I feel like the more that you can kind of trust what I'm saying, the more you're going to get out of it. I will give a quick background that I have been, I'm going on my 16th year as a doula, and I've worked with over 300 couples as their birth doula, so with them in labor, and then I don't keep track of how many people I've taught childbirth class to, and it's especially weird now with or vague now with YouTube class. So that being said, I've seen a lot of labor. I've read a lot about labor. I actually watched 100 birth vlogs on YouTube that I'm trying to put together into a video that would have some good takeaways. So I have a lot of experience. I'm saying that because I want you to hear hear what I say and not be too skeptical. The other thing I'm asking for as I present this topic in early labor is that just extra level of open-mindedness. So my example is let's see, 2018. Yes. Time is going to be weird when we're thinking about things because 2020 is just like this big void. In 2018, my family and we hiked up Mount St. Helens. So it's a volcano that erupted in 1980, I think. And you can get these special passes and you can climb up. Well, I trusted my husband to prep and make sure we had the right gear and that kind of stuff. And he kind of halfway prepped and really didn't talk to anybody who had done it before, no experts. And let's just say it was pretty difficult. Like there were tears. We made it, but there were tears. The next year, 2019, we consulted experts and said, we want to do it again. Some of us didn't, but we all did it again. We want to do it again, but give us some tips on making this better. And we got a few really clutch tips that made the experience at least 50% better. There was like 50% less tears. So I'm building this up, right? There's like a hush came over the chat. Everyone's thinking like, what is she going to teach us? But what I teach you, I will tell you, of all the topics I teach about and strategies I teach in childbirth, this is the one that I get people in class to just kind of like give me these looks like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. I mean, I've had people say out loud, like to me, yeah, that's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna do that. So I want you to be honest. I want you to be interactive in the chat. You guys know, I think I told you, or I mentioned in one of the classes that after it's over, YouTube gives me all these analytics and it tells me how many people chatted, which is super cool, like how active and stuff. Tara, on the edge of your seat. Exactly. So be active in the chat. Tell me what you think, even if you're giving me the side eye, even if you're like, not trusting, or you need more information. What I'm going to teach you today, we're going to talk about early labor, and the strategy I'm teaching is sleep and denial. So instead, usually I kind of block, like first I'll do the how birth works portion, and then I move to the coping technique. This is going to be kind of blurred because the sleep and denial technique is my favorite technique for early labor. And so that's why I'm going to kind of mush those two together today. Sleep and denial. Okay. So first of all, early labor for first time birthing people is different than second, third, fourth, however many babies you've had. But it's usually the longest phase of labor. Now, we did pop quiz, if you were here yesterday, out of 18 hours of an average labor, how many of those hours are early labor? That's your pop quiz for the day. Put it in the chat. And take a sip of your water too. It's a good portion. If you weren't here in class yesterday, it is significant how much of labor is early labor. Again, as a reminder, early labor is when we go, wow, it was so weird, the delay in my comments. And then like all of a sudden 100 comments came in, not 100. All of you guys, 10, 10, 10. Almost everybody said 10. Awesome. 10 or more, 10, yes. So out of 18, 10 are early labor. And the technical definition, just as a reminder, is when your cervix is anywhere from 0 dilated to 6 centimeters dilated. That's like the medical definition of early labor. Okay, so my first strategy for early labor is don't be in labor until you're really in labor. Okay, and this is especially for first timers. So here's what I mean by that. This scenario happens almost to everyone, okay, where labor starts and you are in this period of like, something's going on. I don't know what it is. I'm having these sensations. I'm uncomfortable. Is this labor? Is this gas pains? Is this indigestion? What is going on? If you are in this what is going on phase, I would really love for you to say to yourself, I'm not in labor, okay? To just not mentally be in labor. The reason for this is being in labor, like knowing like labor is starting. That means you have started your hike up Mount St. Helens, or you are on your marathon, okay? But if you're not sure, and during the time you're not sure, you do other things that you go about your life, you rest, keep sleeping, go back to sleep, and maybe you miss a few hours of what was labor, it is okay. There is no harm to that. What do you think about that? Tell me what you're thinking. And I'm going to pull up a quote. How does this feel, this idea? I don't really know when my labor started. Right? I don't really know. Does that feel uncomfortable to anybody? Does it feel like I'm going to want to know? I like this, Jay. Jay says, don't engage mentally. This was true for my experience and very helpful. Awesome. Awesome. This is real. Jonathan says, his wife says, I don't know how to feel about that. Yeah. Now, Tiffany, this is a great question. Being induced, won't be able to do that. Sort of you will. I'm going to talk a little bit about induction with this concept, but you actually can too. Yep. Nothing bad about extra hour of sleep. Okay, here's another quote about this. I'm not really sure how long I was in labor. I don't know. Maybe it started overnight. Maybe it started while we were having dinner. Maybe it started early in the morning. I'm not really sure how long I was in labor. Right? Here's the thing. Let me know if you have you been on a long car ride? Has anybody done road tripping where someone else has done the driving? So say you're going through a not very scenic area, not that you want to you don't want to drive by, there's nothing you're going to miss if you take a nap. Have you ever been the one that takes a nap in Kansas and then you wake up and you missed 2 hours of Kansas? Kansas is just my example. If anyone's from Kansas, let me know. It's kind of challenging to drive through. There's not a lot of diverse scenery in Kansas. And you wake up and you're like, man, I just slept through 2 hours of that drive. Does anyone else have that experience? And they're like, yes, right? Kayla says, I always fall asleep on road trips. Me too. I have transportation-induced narcolepsy, not really, but I fall asleep before a plane takes off. I fall asleep as soon as we start driving. I'm not usually the driver, thankfully. Yes. Okay, so I'm feeling like you guys are understanding that what I'm saying is you like the idea, but you think it might be hard to implement. Is that sort of where some of us are? The idea. So what I want to say is this is not being in labor until you're in labor is such a key strategy to keep your batteries charged for as long as possible. Here's the thing, labor, I talk about it a lot like a marathon, like a physical challenge. It is a physical challenge. Labor is almost like a marathon, but at the end of the marathon, it's all uphill. Okay? Because a lot of times, most of our really active phase that we have to be ready for is pushing. And they put pushing at the end, right, of labor. They didn't put it in the beginning. It's at the end. So I want you to have all of the strategies to keep those batteries charged, to keep that cell phone plugged into the wall as long as possible. So if you're in a time of labor that's like, I don't really know if this is labor. This isn't really hurting, but it might be it. I don't want you to be in labor. I don't want you to expend any mental or physical or emotional energy. I want you to just be like, nah, I don't know. It might be it. It might not be. Right? That is what I love. And you guys are, Dawn says she was always a backseat sleeper. I love it. Good. Yes. Sleep and place your mind elsewhere. Good, good, good. Okay. So you're starting to get this idea. I will not say that this early labor strategy is not easy. It is not hard. It is hard. This strategy is hard. Okay. 100%. It's difficult because you have gone through 40 weeks, whatever, not to mention maybe years before that, trying to conceive. Who knows what your journey is? You are waiting. You have spent time waiting. And it's like me going, yeah, you're at the beginning of the most exciting moment you've been waiting for. Just go back to sleep. Just go back to sleep. I know it's hard. And as a doula, it's almost the first thing I tell all of my clients when they call me and tell me they're in labor. And they know that I'm going to tell them that. Not always. Now, there are exceptions. Possibly your early labor starts with water breaking, and it's a time that your provider says to come in. So you can't just be like, denial. I'm not going to listen to them. I'm going to listen to Alice on YouTube. No, you're going to listen to them. This is when I'm talking about if you don't have things like a water break, if you don't have any worrisome signs like headaches, spots before your eyes, any excessive bleeding like a period, those are things that you're not going to deny. Those are going to be call your provider immediately. I'm talking about, am I in labor cramping? Is this the start of labor situation? Yes. Kayla says it'll be like going to bed on Christmas Eve. Yeah. In bed. That's a good experience. Yeah. Catherine says, I have to work until I go into labor, so I'm going to be extra excited to get that going. You know what, Catherine? Actually, if people don't have a job that's like, harmful, physically demanding, stressing them too much emotionally or physically stressed, I usually recommend trying to work until labor starts because the waiting is the hardest part. Quoting Tom Petty, it is the hardest part. Any Tom Petty fans here? Let me know in the chat. This is a good question. I like this question, Tara. I haven't heard this one yet. Would it sound irresponsible if a nurse asks at the hospital how long I've been in labor? And I say, I don't know. That's awesome. I don't know. I've been denying it for a while. No, what you would say is, well, I really had to start working through the contractions at whatever time that is. So, you can say, I don't really know. Now, if it was something like tell us what time your water broke. Yeah, you need to know. Like, you should tell them the exact time. Absolutely, 100, 1000%. But they don't really know. It doesn't really matter. If your bag of water is intact and you slept through the beginning of labor, who really knows, right? It's not like, sometimes I used to say, like, if there was like a pop-up timer, like a turkey, that would go off on us to say, like, labor has begun. We would be like, oh my gosh, I'm in labor. And we'd have all this like emotion. It'd be hard. But to kind of be in that state of like, I don't know if this is it or not, but I'm going to charge my batteries while it isn't. Now, as every week, just a reminder, I put a link to the homework videos that go with each video. I'm calling them homework because there's not like, I don't know, it's a class homework. Don't feel like you have to watch them, obviously. But if you want some extra information, or you want to hear me share these concepts kind of in a different way, just to consolidate the information, check those out. Because I just put together a video about early labor and an early labor strategy. So if you've seen that video, some of this is going to sound familiar to you, which is great. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's not a waste of your time. A couple of things that I suggest you not do during this phase, and at least one thing, two do's and a don't, okay? I recommend you don't tell friends and family that you might be in labor. Being on the other side, if you've ever been on the other side of waiting for news about a baby, you will know it feels so long, where you're just like, what is happening over there? Have there been any changes? I need to know. It's super hard. So you're actually doing your friends and family a favor by not telling them that you're in the beginning of your labor, unless you, for some reason, need them or there's a need to know. But again, having other people know and text you and call you and knock on your door or whatever, not helpful, okay? You should tell your doula. If you have a birth doula, definitely tell. Definitely give them a heads up. This is what's happening, I think, because they'll probably give you some ideas of things to do, like rest, okay? Also, don't get out your to-do list and start doing things. How many times have I seen this? Guys, I had a client once who was trying to submit a master's thesis when she was in early labor because she wanted to get it done before she had her baby. And she was like almost there. I showed up. I mean, she was seriously like in really, really early, like strong, heading towards active labor, trying to get her master's thesis submitted. Can you guys imagine that? I don't even have a master's, so I don't know what it's like to do a thesis, but it looks like a lot of work. Okay. Don't feel like I have to, pack my bag right now. I've got to start, putting together this or that, or I didn't get that last thing cleaned or fixed, or, I've seen so many things that people try to do and I am not just talking to the person giving birth. Support people, please be listening too. You have batteries as well. And it's almost, I don't want to say it's more important because it's not. It is critically important that partners keep their batteries charged through this process as well. And the thing that I like to tell partners is that the pushing is the really hard part, right? Usually is the very active part for a person giving birth. But for the partner, the time after the baby's born, that is really where they have to have their game ready to go, because the person that just gave birth is tired and we've got another person to take care of, right? And partners that are able to take that load right then, it's huge. It's super important. So resting for partners is just as important. Okay, now when I say sleep, I want to, well, first of all, sometimes early labor starts where contractions are enough that you can kind of like sleep. And then do you guys know that kind of, I know you do. I know you know that kind of sleep where it's like you're not sleeping well, but you're not totally awake. So you almost kind of question like, did I just fall asleep? Like how much time has passed? Have I been asleep or have I not been asleep? Or have I been awake? Tell me. I know I'm not the only one. Tell me in the chat if you're in that. That is kind of how some sleeping in early labor looks like, where it's maybe not solid. It's maybe, kind of broken up and you kind of take what you can get. That happens. This is a scenario that's very common. Work all day, come home, dinner, hanging out, whatever you do after dinner, watching TV, Netflix, whatever. And you're feeling kind of crampy. Oh, maybe contractions. What I would really love for you to do, if you have access to a bathtub, I know not everyone lives in a place with a bathtub, but if you have a bathtub, taking a deep bath can actually slow contractions down enough that you can jump right into bed and get some rest, some actual like good quality rest. Again, I'm telling you that some of you might be saying like, so what if I scare the contractions away? Is anybody thinking that? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. I think you guys are quiet, but there might be a delay in my chat. And also, if you're watching this on replay, make sure you put hashtag childbirth replay in a comment and let me know that you are watching and that you heard this part and what your thoughts are on this early labor strategy. Okay. I really recommend that you work as a team, both birthing person, support person, work as a team and talk about what does this actually look like? Like, so one of the questions that I think it's good to discuss is like, do you wake up your partner if you're feeling like you're having some contractions? Do you wait until things are stronger? Do you both try to sleep? Does your partner wake up and try to get something done? Or, really having like a real discussion about what does this look like if we're going to implement Alice's crazy, wacky strategy. Okay. Good question. Diana C says, real question. I like how it's real. It is not a fake question. Would you know if your water broke while you're taking a bath? That is a question that I get a lot. That is actually a common question. So, yes, I would say there is sometimes times when people don't know that their water breaks in the bath, but I would say if I had to ballpark it, it's vast majority. And what happens when your water breaks, most people, if they're awake, feel like I want to say popping sensation, but it's a different sensation. Like it's like, hey, that was different. Or like, I think that one was different. If you were in the bathtub and you had one of those contractions where it was like, that's different, then step out, dry off, don't put a pad on, don't put adult diapers on, don't put anything on. Like no, nothing on your bottom half. If you keep dripping, then you know your water broke because that's how the dripping continues. So let me know if that made sense. Okay. This is another, that's so good. I love this, Catherine. This is actually one of my questions that I figured you guys might ask. Is it bad to slow down contractions? Can it make early labor last longer? So here's the thing. Early labor is our time to rest. It is above all, rest is key. So can it make early labor last longer? maybe like say your contraction started and it was 9 p.m. and you're like, I want to get this going. I'm going to go walk, a mile around the neighborhood. And then contractions get going, right? But you're still at that, say, 1 centimeter dilated. You still have a long way to go. And it could speed up, but it doesn't like usually just jumpstart into like, boom, labor's happening. Does that make sense? I would 10 times out of 10 say rest is better. And if it slows down contractions, the reality also is that it's probably not really time for you to be in labor. And it's not uncommon that people sometimes experience like some contractions, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, they're like, oh, I guess labor didn't really start. So that's not an uncommon situation. And if you have slept, that's better. So to me, it's always better to charge your batteries. Okay, Jay says, I might be ahead of myself, but does slowing the contractions down apply to water births as well? Okay, no, well, you're not ahead of yourself, but it's a good, since we talked about getting into the tub to slow things down in early labor, that's a great piece of information that I should share, that getting into a tub in active labor doesn't slow down contractions. So usually, vast majority of the time, it's the slowing down of contractions usually happens in early labor in a tub, but in active labor in a tub, it brings pain relief and the contractions keep coming. So good question. Yes. Okay. Tiffany says, I'm worried that it will slow down the process and or make it not work if I don't help it along. You are absolutely making sense to me. I know this is what everybody is thinking. They're thinking when labor starts and I'm just lying around, Alice, you just taught me movement yesterday. You just had that whole GIF about the survivor and the game. And we talked about moving. There will be time to move. Early labor, again, is 10 hours. This sleep and denial strategy is not likely to last the vast majority of it. It's going to last the beginning of it. And then labor is going to be strong enough that you're not going to be able to rest through it and you have to get up. So, and also with an induction, the contraction speed, the contraction frequency is managed through Pitocin. And so you do not need to help it along. Like you need to rest while you can rest. And then when you can't rest, work on dealing with the pain and dealing with the contractions and dealing with movement and that kind of thing. Yes. Okay. You guys have such great questions. I love it. Graceful One says, I have a large fibroid, that I've been told could disrupt my uterus's ability to contract. Should I still take a bath if it could slow things down? Yeah, that is not something I commonly hear. So many people have fibroids. Like many, many, many of my clients have had fibroids. And the ability to contract has not been an issue. Granted, I'm one person with clients, but I would not find that to be an issue. Yeah. Okay. Rachel E says, I suppose a better sleep would be a big benefit in the long run, even if it slows contractions down a bit. Yes. I'm guessing a bath would make minimal difference in labor time. That is what I'm trying to say, Rachel. Thank you for getting it out. We have a marathon. We've got plenty of time ahead of us to change positions, use rhythm, use our limp and loose, do our breathing. We've got time. So in the beginning, if you can, and you're still like, I don't know if this is it. This isn't really hurting. You are in that early phase. Keep the batteries charged while you can. You will have time. I'm again, I love that you guys are asking these really good questions, because these are all the things that go through people's head when in early labor, because it's such a time of excitement. You've been to childbirth class with me. You're like, I've learned my things. I'm ready to go. I want to have this baby. And the hardest part, here's the thing. This is the hardest part, is watching someone who is like mentally just the toughest person, right? Just like mentally can just go on forever, like can stay up, pull all-nighters, and can just like keep going. You know, the people that are just like mindset, I can do it, mind over matter, whatever. And even if you're that person, your uterus is not like that. And a uterus that is tired doesn't contract well. And so I want to set you up now so that you don't have to deal with tired uterus, have to give Pitocin, why aren't we contracting? Why aren't we dilating? Intervention, cesarean birth, whatever. I want you to rest when you can, so that when it is showtime, there's no resting through this. That will come. That will definitely, it is coming. And again, remember backwards day, we're going to be thankful for them and we're going to be excited about them. But until it's like go time, that's when I want you to rest. Yes. These are all, you guys are asking great questions. Sorry, picking up my pen. Okay. How are we doing? I can't see any of you. Tell me if your partners are like, I don't know. I'm not going to be able to do that. I really have so many people say, yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that. So if that's you, if you're already thinking, I'm not going to be able to do that, start thinking about how you can do it. Even if you're not sleeping, if you are resting, then I'll take it. I will take it. So what that could look like is in that video that I just put out, I talked about putting together a tray of snacks, and like some great snacks, nuts and fruit, water, bone broth, like savory, sweet, fatty, cheese, all sorts of snacks, and have it right next to where you're resting, like ideally your bed, say, so that it's in arm's length. And while you're resting, you can have a little sip in between contractions. You can have a snack when you wake up, when you're resting. Partners can make that tray happen, refill, encourage, and just have everything, have like your music, have comfort things there, so that maybe you're laying down resting, contraction comes, maybe you get on all fours, kind of do some movement, 1 minute, and then you lay back down. Contraction comes, get on all fours, or maybe just slide out of the bed, stand up, lean on the bed, lay back in bed. Does that seem crazy? It is such an amazing strategy, but I think sometimes when I talk about it, it feels a little strange. It feels a little crazy. So let me know. Let me know. I like this, Alexandra. My highest self would like to think I would do it. Start telling your higher self that that's your plan, that that's what you're going to do. If you want to hear my voice, if you want to pull up this video and be like, what Alice said to sleep, I need to sleep. Okay, here are some thoughts or some questions that I'm thinking you're having, what you might be having. Partner, what about my partner? Like partners need to be on the same page for this. Partners need to promote this. This is key. Whoever your support person is, needs to be on board. Okay. They need to say, yeah, like, oh, I'm feeling something. I might be in labor. That's awesome. Why don't I'll get you in the bath, get a bath going, and go ahead and we'll go to bed early tonight. We don't need to watch the rest of, that show we're watching. I don't even know what's popular right now. Snowpiercer. Anyone watching that? I'm watching that right now. So partners that are like, yeah, great, let's rest. Okay, let's get in bed. Let's go to bed. Like that should be on there. Oh yes, the food tray. Okay, the food tray. So in the homework video below is a playlist with a link to my video about a snack tray, but I'm all about the snack tray. Like snacks in labor need to be plentiful and a variety, and they need to be where you can see them. So you just like at any time, pregnant person can look and see and like, oh, string cheese, I'm going to eat a bite. And that's all I want. Sometimes one person I worked with recently was like, I said, let's get you a snack. You've got some great granola bars or bars in your bag. And she said, well, I probably can't eat more than a bite. I'm like, you are in labor. You are allowed to waste food in labor. This is okay. Like normal days, you have to eat the whole bar, but in labor, you can just eat a little. So variety of stuff close by where you're going to rest will help you stay there. Okay, what are we talking about? Let's see. What does Jonathan say? Everything you're saying makes total sense. My wife is thinking that'll be hard to do these things because it's our first child. So she's not sure what to expect. Yes. Then you guys are feeling Jonathan, you and your wife are feeling everything the way most people do. I wrote down a list of my questions that I always get. Okay. So if you're feeling these questions, let me know. How do I do that? What if I'm anxious, too anxious? What if I'm overthinking everything? What if I can't do it? Are any of these are questions I usually get in class. So if you're feeling that, that's okay, because you're probably feeling that way about a lot of labor, right? Pushing. If you've never pushed before, you're probably like, what is that like? I've never hiked through Scree before. That was the top of Mount St. Helens. I didn't know what I was in for, right? But after someone gave me the tips, I was a lot better at it. Yes. Okay. Oh, yes to all. Okay, good. Yes. Yes. That if you're feeling that way, normal. But remember, that's why I set up this topic with a big disclaimer of open-minded. Remember, I've seen many, think about that. 300. I've worked with 300 people. So that's a lot of people. So I'm not just making this up. Like, give a little trust of me. Diana, I put your question on, but I didn't read it. Let's see. How long should you try to rest for until you are at the next stage of labor? Great question. I want you to rest for as long as you can, unless you have any of these symptoms that I mentioned, like your water breaks, your baby, maybe, I don't know if I said that, but it's on my notes. I should have said it the first time. If you feel like baby's not moving well for some reason, that's at any time. That's from now until you give birth. If there is a time that you notice that you're having a long period of time without the same amount of movement, you should alert your provider. If you have headaches, or if you have heavy period bleeding, or if you have spots in your eyes, those would indicate a problem. But let's say normal, you don't have any of those problems, then I say rest for as long as you can rest. There will be a time when your body is like, no, you got to get up. It's more comfortable if you get up. You can walk around, you can move around. So I really just want you to do it for as long as you can. So as long as you can. It could be maybe you got rest for an hour. Maybe you rested for all day. Did anybody, so until I started this class, I was doing weekly classes. If anybody was at those classes, my very last class, Thursday, I brought in a new dad who they had given birth 5 weeks ago. And he shared his birth story in that video. And he said that when he and I talked, or I think he said right then in the video, he sent me a birth story and then I interviewed him. But he said that one of the best things that they did was to rest in early labor. And he said that labor happened at night. They just, stayed in bed as long as they could. were able to get some sleep kind of overnight, woke up in labor, but nothing really strong. And she ended up getting to the hospital and was already 5 centimeters dilated. And he said one of the best things that happened was that they both were on the same page about rest, denial and rest, denial, rest. So this just happened with one of the couples that came to the December class. So I am not making this up. Okay, question. Do you have to be careful with bath temperature in early labor? I know you can't go above body temperature in the rest of pregnancy, during the rest of pregnancy. So bath temperature is usually more critical in the early days of pregnancy, but in general, you don't want to be overheated. So if you're sweating and you're in the bathtub and you're like sweating, it's too hot. Okay, some people don't sweat that much. So that's kind of a general rule. But if you're feeling hot, like if you are actually like uncomfortable, too hot. But usually bath temperature is not as worrisome when the baby is that, full formed and ready to go. Yeah. Okay, great questions. So good. Catherine says, is it okay to sleep on your back at 25 weeks? So Catherine, it's not best practice to sleep on your back. Really, it's better practice to try to sleep on a side, one side or the other. And you don't even necessarily have to be all the way on your side. If you can just prop a pillow up so that you're not flat on your back, that is preferable. Because there is your circulatory system. You don't want that to be compromised. And with the weight of a belly, sometimes can compromise. But plenty of people who are back sleepers and pregnant will be like, I always wake up on my back and then I turn to my front. That's great. That's great. We can't force you into a non-back sleeping position, but it is good strategy to try to avoid that. So many good questions. Okay, so sleep and denial is going to be one of my absolute top strategies, coping strategies for early labor. Quick note about how this looks for an induction, because I know I was going to mention that. And I know, was it Tiffany that asked about that too? So inductions, depending upon which way that they start, and again, we're going to have 2 full nights of induction, which is very important to attend, even if you don't know whether or not you're going to be induced. There are 2 types of induction. One type is more of a thinning medicine to give to thin. Remember, a face, thin our cervix. That medicine, almost always providers encourage you to sleep. So it's like the top number one thing to do is sleep. If you're getting a medicine to starting with an effacement medicine. If you start with a medicine to dilate, to get your contractions going, like Pitocin, it still takes some time to get things started. It sounds like, let's get it started. Why am I singing? It's day 4. Yep. We gotta have some fun. It takes time. So even with an induction, you'll start out with contractions that are like, meh. You know that labor is coming. So it's unlike, going into labor on your own. You are going to know that it's on its way. But until you have to really deal with it, try not to be in labor. Like I had a client sometime in my career that they were playing cards and they were like, we're going to play cards until it's it's absolutely unbearable. And I can't even remember what game they were playing, but they just kept playing these card games over and over and over. And, she would have her cards and she would stop and kind of, and then it was like, okay, let's go. There will be time to do all of the coping methods, but if you can rest. Okay. what questions do we have? How did you guys feel about today and early labor? One question that didn't come up that I think is important is early labor looks differently, for everybody. There's usually a phase that we can rest in, and then it gets active. It is not, what I don't want you to think is that you can sleep through all of early labor. That is not what I want you to think. I want you to know that there are some challenging times of early labor. Certainly people get epidurals in early labor before 6 centimeters. So don't think that I've got 18 hours and Alice tells me I can sleep through 10. That would be that's not going to happen. Okay. So if you can sleep through 2, if you can rest through 4, great. Okay. And back to my slides. And I know I only have a few minutes left. But this one, both of these kind of say the same thing. I don't really know when my labor started. I love this because it also goes with a theory that I will say at least a few more times in the next 10 classes that we have is don't focus on the clock. I don't want partners to say things like, wow, you've been at this for, let me check my phone. You've been at this for 9 hours. Wow. Can you believe we've been in labor for 9 hours? Can you believe we've been in labor for 15 hours? The person in labor, it is not good to focus on that. Take that out of your vocabulary. It's not helpful. It's just not. And even if somebody asks me when do you think labor started? Or how long have I been in labor? As a doula, I usually say, it's been a while now. Yeah, I think it's been a little bit of time. Because, can you guys see my affirmation today? It says, labor takes time. Labor takes time. And so much of our lives, we do a lot of structured, quantify, we're timing our workouts. We have Strava going that we're seeing, we're mapping where we're going. We have an app to say, on our Apple Watch, how long we're sleeping. And we've got this and that's tracking things. I want you to not be in labor so much. I'd love for you to step out of that and be more of just things are happening and I'm taking it a contraction at a time. And this is going to be long and I need to pace myself in this. Can you guys, is that kind of making sense? Let me know if I'm totally out of making sense. Out of making sense? There might be. If I'm making sense or if you're relating to me. Jonathan says, assuming no complications or issues in general, when is the right time to go to the hospital? Yes, great question. I'm going to cover this again. So I'm going to say it once now, and I'm going to say it a couple other times too. So it'll feel good because it is a question that can be complicated. But it really depends on your preferences for birth. So I think if you are someone who knows you're planning an epidural, that's your plan, that's your strategy, then a lot of providers usually say that 5-1-1 timing. So 5 minutes apart, lasting 1 minute long, and that pattern has gone on for an hour. Okay. So that is a general rule. If you are someone who is hoping to go a lower intervention, not sure about an epidural or doesn't want an epidural, then usually a lot of times it's better to wait until under 5 minutes apart, or the contractions are longer each time, or that pattern has gone on for more than 1 hour. So it kind of depends on what your plans are and what your preferences are. Yes. Rachel, same question. When to go to the hospital? Certain time. We're going to cover this again. So this is one time you guys will hear it, but we'll hear it again so that it'll feel more comfortable. But it is something, you know, as we learn different coping strategies, as we're talking about our options for pain management, for epidurals, induction, you know, all of these things. If you don't know your preferences now, sometimes I get people that come into class and they're like, I don't have any idea. I want to give you enough information that you start having like, yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards this strategy, or I'd kind of prefer this. So if you're not there yet, I just also want to say, you know, that would make sense. Awesome. Good. Great, 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 everybody. Okay. So before we go, let me share any last things. I try to share every day about the class kit. And I know I might sound like I'm, you know, selling something, which I am, the class kit, but it is so helpful. I don't know if I mentioned last time, but there is a whole section on life with baby that to me is like so helpful because it's so quick to check and it's not like a giant baby book. And it also has some good information on postpartum warning signs and that kind of thing. So I wanted to mention that. It's at the kit. I sent some out today. So if you ordered them, they should be on their way. And then what else did I want to share? This. And of course, I'm talking about practice again because I love practicing. So I turned the wrong one on. Look at that. That is not right. That's what I wanted to do. Those two together. Man, I am working this streaming software right now. Okay, so after the class practice session is right after this, and it is at that link, and it's for members. It's $2.99. You press the join button down below this if you're interested. I would love to see you there. And I will let you guys know tomorrow about I'll schedule a practice session for one of the next classes before the class that you guys could think, you know, have time to think about whether or not you want to join me on that too. If at any time you have questions, you can always drop me a comment in any of the videos and I answer all my comments. I am so thankful to have this awesome group of people. And I love that you guys were engaged. You were thinking this over. You didn't, you know, sometimes I can see how many people are alive right now. And when I talk about sleep in denial, I'm always worried like everybody's just like, bye, not going to do it. So thank you for staying. Tomorrow, which is Friday night, spend it with me. We'll have some fun. We're going to talk about monitoring because it's really a key part to know about labor. So monitoring labor, and we are going to go through vocalization as a comfort technique, as a coping technique tomorrow. So monitoring and vocalization, and I'm going to bring it again tomorrow. I'd love to see you guys back here. And if you are joining me for a practice session, then I will see you over in that link. If not, I will see you next time. Don't forget to like the video if you found anything helpful. Hit the like button. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.